All right, so a really good question. Like, what is up with that underscore? And so Go makes you use everything you declared, right? Everything you bring into your program, you better be using it. Otherwise, it's why it's there. Why is it there? You know, so Go likes a clean house. If you're not going to use those shoes from the 80s again, get rid of them. Everything that's in your house, everything that's in your program, you've got to use it. If you don't use something, it's an error. And so you could tell Go, I know, like sometimes you could say, hey, I know I'm not using something, and like, because it's supposed to be an error here, in which case I have to use that, right? And that's, if you look at the definition for that, returns a cookie, pointer to a cookie, and an error, right? So multiple returns. So since I have multiple returns, I gotta use them. If I only wanted to use, there's a way that if you only want to use one, I'm just not remembering the syntax which. I want to get rid of that one. I think if I only wanted to use error, I could do this. No, that's not going to do it. But anyhow, this is the way you do it. So I don't want to use error, so I just put that underscore. That's it. That's what that underscore means. It throws it away. It sends it to null island. That's a joke. All right, so how do we get rid of that favicon request? I was getting 2 requests. So now I'm actually, instead of it coming here, which means I'm going to run get cookie, which means I'm going to request a cookie and then print the cookie. Or if it was set cookie, try to set it again. But get cookie, right? I could just say, okay, when this comes in, just respond not found. Right? It's the not found handler. I'm just going to respond not found. I liked your little slip in that you did there. You got that rhythm flowing. So now when I, what's that? Change directory. Now when I run that, and come over here and request it, right? This got the not found handler 404, and it only asks for the cookie once. So let's get rid of favicon, and that's like a nice thing to put in if you're not going to serve a favicon. So let's look at doing sessions with cookie. So we talked about creating a unique ID, and we looked at that one package, and that package is this one. So import that package, and to use that package on my machine, I have to do a go get first. So go get github.com new 7 hatch go uuid yeah. Like you guys would probably need to do that on your machines. I don't know if I did that already. Maybe I did. I think I probably did. And now I could use it. I could use uuid. It's called go uuid, but down here I'm referring to it as uuid. For whatever reason, it's just this last part that gets referred to. That's kind of weird to me about that one. Right? But anyhow, there's the, see it says directory go uuid. I'm not sure why that works that way. So if I look at the go uuid package, right here, I can look at the documentation for it. There's a couple of different uuids. There's version 3, version 4, version 5. And here's an example of, I thought there was an example. Oh, here's an example of version 4. New UUID gives me a UUID, and then check the error, and I can print that UUID. All right, that's pretty straightforward. Just give me a really universally unique ID. What's the difference between 4 and 5? Generate a UUID based on MD5 hash of namespace identifier and a name. Generate a random UUID. So I don't need to put any stuff in there, right? This takes parameters. This takes arguments. This does not take arguments. 5 takes arguments. Based on a SHA-1 hash of a namespace identifier. All right, so this one's just like straightforward, easy one. So I do that right here. UUID gives me an ID and an error. I'm not using the error, so you probably should check that stuff just in case there's an error. You can deal with it, but just for compact code for learning. There we go. And then I'm going to do a new cookie. So I'm going to create a cookie. So HTTP cookie, it's a struct, right? I'm just assigning it to cookie. First I request the cookie. Is there already a cookie? If cookie is not set, there will be an error, right? So if error is not nil, meaning there is an error, it's not nil. I wish there was some other way to say that, but you just kind of got to do that flip in your head. Error is not nil means there's an error. I'm going to create a cookie. So if there's not a cookie already, I create a cookie and give it session ID. And then the value is just going to be the ID string. So ID is right here. And string is a function that if you put it into your package, it's kind of like string in Java. And this is like, I say this with 78% certainty or 82 or 94, something like that. And then you run it and it gives you just a string. So it returns an unparsed version of the generated UUID sequence. So it turns whatever data you have into a string. So Java has something similar. And so then I could, this is a value, this value here in the cookie is just any text. So I could have other text in there, just concatenate to it. Or I could do JSON data or whatever's text. So I could store that in my cookie. And then I set the cookie right here. So this is all if they don't have a cookie, so I set it. And then print the cookie. If something comes in at request, I run all that code up here. And I just throw away the fave icon if that's requested. And listen on 9000. And here's a little reminder about go getting UUID. So when I run this, so first of all, I'm just going to come over here and delete all my cookies. So I have nothing there. I'm going to request the page. And it wrote it. Here's my UUID. And then here's that other text I threw into the end. Okay.
So just connect for me a little bit the UUID and the cookie. So you're using the cookie function, but you're creating a UUID unique number to act as the cookie?
So the cookie will store any text I put into it.
Okay.
What I want to put into it, I get to choose.
Right, so the first time we did, we just put text in there.
Yeah, we just
Second
said,
time we actually use the UUID to populate it, right?
yeah, and then this time we put in more text, but the text we put in is a UUID.
Plus the text.
And then some other text, right? So we can put whatever we want in our cookie. And then if we have a unique ID, we could start to associate.
Right, then you can look up.
And look things up, right? Like a user ID of some sort. But you wouldn't want to actually put in a customer ID.
Yeah.
And there's a little bit of a security hole with cookies. Because I could open up a cookie on my machine and change it. Right? So if you're doing some video game thing, and the cookie is storing your level, or the number of lives you have left, or your score, open that cookie up and give yourself more lives. Open that cookie up and give yourself more money. Give yourself a higher score. Now, a lot of times cookies will be encrypted to prevent that, right? And that way people can't change them, or it's harder to change them. If you could open up a cookie and change it, you could sit somewhere with Wireshark and watch network traffic. And if somebody's not using HTTPS, so their transmissions aren't encrypted, you could grab any unencrypted cookies. And then if you could see somebody's session ID, you could then create your own cookie for that domain with that session ID, go to that domain, it would grab that cookie and send it when you went to that domain. It'd look at that unique ID and think, oh yeah, okay, this is associated with a customer's account. It's the person sitting at the other side of Starbucks from you, right? But, now you're into their website as them. Whoa. right? And so Wireshark lets you watch network traffic. I've never used it. Ha, wink, wink, wink. Wireshark, go deep. No, true story, I've never used it. But, yeah, so maybe there's some other way you can watch network traffic. But
there's even an API for Go. For Go to watch network traffic.
Is there?
I bet there is.
Yeah, maybe, right? So you could just say watch it and pull out any unencrypted cookies and let me look at them.
Yeah.
Or write a program to do that.
Do more automation.
Mm-hmm.
You can automate that whole Starbucks thing.
Yeah, and then you just like log in and send stuff to. But that's the thing, right? Like, where are you gonna send it? You order something. I guess you transfer money. That's a little bit easier. But most of that stuff's accounted for today. But there's probably still a lot of people who have holes. So we talked about how important is it or is it not to encrypt your UUID in a cookie? Because that's not encrypted. That's just the ID right there. Okay, and so that's the ID I'm going to use to look up who's this account associated with, who's making this request, and what should I show them, and what kind of access should I give them. So that's not encrypted. That's the ID I use to look that up. If I encrypt that, in some way, then when the client looks at it, they won't know what the number is because it automatically was encrypted and put on their machine. And when it gets back to me, I can unencrypt it and I can know. But there would be no way. So, but guessing, actually watching network traffic, how likely is that to happen? How many people are out there doing that? On HTTP. Well, am I going to have HTTPS on everything? How does Amazon do that? Right? It becomes interesting questions. Like, is Amazon always HTTP? Like, what about once I sign in to Amazon? Hey, I'm signed in. Right? So, I don't know what I just clicked on that. But I'm not seeing a protocol here.
Wow.
But I'm also not seeing a lock. So if I go to cart, now I see it. Now that's HTTPS.
So you would think you still would have passed the cookies on that one HTTP one, maybe.
Yeah, so we can look here and see what do we have for Amazon cookies. I'm not sure how much personal information I'm giving away here. I think I need to edit this out. Or I'll just clear them all and it'll probably give me a new cookie. So session ID 182, right? Clear all. And go to Amazon. And session ID 192. Session token. Main. Clear all. Main is 185 something. So I'm getting different stuff every time. So I don't think there's anything critical there so long as I clear it all out.
When it logged you out.
It's interesting there's all these other ad cookies, right? People figured out sort of how to aggregate information about you. So that's putting a UUID in. And here's how you do basic login and log out. Keep track of whether or not somebody's logged in and logged out, right? Log somebody in, they're logged in. And then when they log out, they're not. So let's see it run, and then we'll see the code behind it. Just so you can sort of visualize what it's doing. So I'm going to get rid of any cookies I have here. And then request this page. And it wrote a cookie, and it says logged in is 0. Like, where is that cookie stored? How can I open it up, and how can I change it? I've never done that in Chrome. I don't know where Chrome stores my cookies, but that might be interesting. Where does Chrome store cookies? folder in Windows 7. You'll need a SQLite database browser to read it. I wonder if up here in settings, again, maybe going to show you too much, under advanced, and content settings, browsing data. Used to be in places in here there's a place to search, right? Where you could search for.
Well, it's Internet Explorer. You're thinking Internet
Yeah,
Explorer.
Internet
Chrome
Explorer.
doesn't let you do that. It's part of the reason Chrome is much better. And it's not open to where you can just go and find.
The cookie and change it.
Well, the cat in general is in the way more. I think that's what you're looking for.
Yeah, I was going to change it to 1 and then show, hey, we have to.
I bet there's a way, but I think it will
Yeah,
require
a little bit more involved.
You can just go to like the console and then be like document.cookie equals. Or maybe
Oh,
Yeah,
you
somewhere.
can do-
Somewhere.
you can do JavaScript.
It sounds like it's stored in SQLite, so I'd have to actually. So here I'm going to log in. My password's secret. You guys now know my password to any account I have. My username is ASDFASD. So I'm logged in. My cookie is now 1. Log out. My cookie is gone. Whoa. Alright, so just checking a flag. Are you logged in or not? So, anything that comes in is going to go to authenticate. Unless it's favicon, we're going to not found it. And then authenticate. First thing is, hey, is there a cookie? The cookie's called logged in. That's the name, right? And if there's not a cookie, so if error is equal to HTTP error no cookie, I did that a little bit different. Then create a cookie, but I didn't set it here yet. I'm going to set it down here because there might be other things that are done to the cookie. So I just create it, and then I check the login. If method is equal to post, that means somebody's submitting to me the form. So I'm using verbs here to sort of switch. And if HTTP verbs to switch. So if that's true, then request the form value password, because here in the form I have a field called password. So that's the name. What's the difference between name and ID in HTML forms?
the ID is used for CSS.
Yeah, the ID is used for CSS and JavaScript. I don't need ID here because I don't have any CSS or JavaScript. And the name is the name of this value, right? Like giving it a variable name. In this field, this is the name of it, the variable name. So when I go for form value password, I'm asking for that and setting it to password. So it's whatever the person entered. And if that value is equal to secret, the one password for everybody who wants to use this website, then I'm going to create a cookie and set it to logged in. Right? So basically I'm just, whatever the cookie was, overwriting it, same name. If this is log out, then I'm going to create a cookie, so if that's the path. Create a cookie, logged in, value 0, meaning not max age -1 means max age less than 0 is max age less than 0 means delete cookie now.
So why did you create the cookie too?
Because I got to send it over and then the browser deletes it. The browser says, oh, thanks for the cookie. Wait, max age a long time ago? This cookie's gone. The browser gets rid of it. So I'm creating it on the server and send it over.
So are you sending over a cookie to replace the one that was there already?
Yeah, it's a self-destructing cookie. When
Yeah.
it replaces the one that's there, it
that's
then looks at the date and says, wait, I have to delete this cookie.
Is that like, you don't have to, can you just call the cookie and set a max age to it instead? Or is this an easier way to?
Call the cookie and set a max age to it.
That's
Well,
like-
because I can't to set something on the client's machine, I got to send it to the client.
But it,
Right.
when you send it, it replaces the one that's there.
Yeah. And then deletes itself.
Okay.
And then I set the cookie, and then I have a variable to hold a string, and I'm calling the variable HTML. And then here's the HTML. I'm converting int to a, so int to ASCII 0, and I'm putting that to the cookie.value if you're not logged in. So here's the not logged in. Okay. And so check, right? I'm checking right here. If cookie.value, and here's the value, whether you're logged in or not, is equal to string convert into a 0. So into a takes an int and turns it into ASCII. And so I'm saying, hey, is this value here, which is a string, which is ASCII, equal to, and this isn't right there, is how you write this. I guess I could have just written that. I don't know why I did it like that.
It's a good demonstration.
But maybe it would work like this. Maybe it'll blow up. Seems fine.
There's no log out. Right?
Yeah. I don't think there's supposed to be one.
Yeah, you had
You used to say
Zero.
logged in 0.
But that's, refresh the page.
Oh, yeah.
might be
Refresh the page.
Yeah, so maybe. Let's turn it back. Still nothing.
There's a zero.
Yeah, I don't know why. I thought so too.
99, 10.
Thanks. Yeah, this time it's there. So when you first hit it, it's there. But even here, if I come here,
Why is that? Why does it only set the 0 on the first time?
on the first tab, I don't know, man. We'd have to go look at the code. Somewhere in the code, that probably makes sense. So anyhow,
/ logout.
if cookie value is equal to 0, then we get the form. If cookie value is equal to 1, meaning you're logged in, then you get the log out button. And then we write the HTML. So first time, it seems like every time, even if you ask for it, it should run all this code. And it should write a cookie. I don't know why with the refresh it doesn't.
Could be Chrome too. Might be different with different browsers.
Yeah, it might be different on a different browser. So that's pretty cool, right? Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. A little session. That's more like a homework problem. I think that would be a little bit more involved. I mean, we could type that all up if you want, but there's a few other little things which are kind of cool to look at. Where are you guys at?
I want to know how could you implement all this code without having to write the HTML right into it?
Templates.
Okay, so we'd use the previous methods that we learned.
Yeah. So did this out at Fresno State. Give you guys a little preview.